You know that feeling. The gnawing frustration inside that says something's deeply off with this whole venture capital game. You put money in, expecting to back the next big thing, to be part of something real, something that changes the world. But what do you get? Complexity wrapped in opaqueness, power concentrated in a few hands you barely see, decisions made behind closed doors, and a world of startups operating by rules that sometimes seem designed only to benefit insiders. You want transparency? Real control? Actual influence? Yet you're stuck in this passive role, watching from the sidelines as the system churns, often ignoring the fundamentals you know matter. It's exhausting, it's confusing, and worst of all, it's lonely. Because you aren't hearing this spoken aloud. Everyone talks about founders, about venture firms, but rarely, if ever, about the people who really hold the purse strings, the limited partners. You, those who fuel the whole system, but get barely a seat at the table. You're cast as silent investors. But the world would be different if the limited partners stood up and demanded more than just financial returns. What if limited partners could become the real regulators? The ones who shape a fairer, smarter, more accountable venture ecosystem that actually works for everyone involved. Let's confront this head-on. The reality is stark. Venture capital has grown into an empire with soft spots and blind spots that no one wants to admit. When the chips are down, when deals explode or startups fail, who really takes responsibility? Often not the general partners. They are brilliant at telling their story, at raising funds, at dazzling with visions of innovation. But what about the ethical backbone? The genuine mechanisms that make sure this system isn't just about fast money and hype? Limited partners are in a unique place. You hold the keys. You commit the capital. But your power is shadowed by a system that treats you like a number, not a force. This has to change. And it can change, starting now. Imagine for a moment a world where limited partners aren't just passive players, but act as the sharp, relentless regulators venture capital desperately needs. You already have the leverage to say no to bad deals, to put pressure on general partners to be transparent, accountable, and aligned with long-term impact instead of short-term glory. But that requires stepping out of the shadows, pushing past traditional norms, demanding a seat at the table, not just for show, but for real governance. The problems you face are real. You want more clarity on where exactly your money goes. You wonder if your investments truly support innovation or merely feed the hype fueled by buzzwords and inflated valuations. You worry about the unchecked power of some funds, the conflicts of interest that go unseen, the lack of real data on performance beyond headlines. You long for a system where you can truly understand risks, influence strategy, and hold all parties accountable. But here's the truth. No one will hand you that power. The system is built to keep you in the dark, to keep decisions centralized in a few experts. If you want change, you have to become the change. You have to be the regulators. Not through bureaucracy or red tape, but by sheer force of action, by using your voice, your money, your collective power to reshape venture capital. How? First, it starts with demanding full transparency. Insist on access to clear, easy-to-understand data on every investment. Don't accept vague reports or jargon-filled updates. You have a right to know the real story, the wins, the losses, the risks, the plans. Transparency isn't optional. It's your tool for control. Next, push for alignment of incentives that goes beyond just chasing big exits. Hold managers accountable for ethical behavior, for supporting founders with not just ideas, but sustainable visions. If investment managers know limited partners expect and reward responsibility as fiercely as returns, the system will shift. Then, build a collective voice. Individually, you may feel small, but together, limited partners form a formidable force. Organize, share insights, create platforms that make your concerns undeniable. This movement of LP regulators will rewrite the rules by sheer presence and influence. Also, redefine what regulation means in this context. Forget the heavy-handed government rules that slow innovation and add layers of bureaucracy. Real regulation runs on culture, transparency, and accountability. You enforce standards not by fear of penalty, but by the simple fact that your capital goes only to those who meet rigorous values and criteria. You create a new currency in venture capital, one where trust is earned daily and lost just as fast. Think of the headaches you'll avoid if funds had to operate under this kind of scrutiny. Fraudulent schemes, misleading valuations, unclear governance, they'd have nowhere to hide. You'll stop praying that your investments simply work out and start actively steering them to work, because bad actors will be filtered out early and quickly. Furthermore, use your position to demand diversity not as a checkbox, but as a core principle. The future belongs to those who aren't afraid to break away from the same old faces, backgrounds, and ideas. Push for funds that bring in diverse perspectives, not just out of goodwill, but because diverse teams outperform. This isn't charity, it's smart investing. Regulate the industry to reflect this fact. Every dollar you invest should push the ecosystem to be richer, broader, and more creative. Now, here's where it gets thrilling. What if limited partners also revolutionize what it means to add value beyond checks? Being a regulator means becoming allies to founders with radical honesty and pragmatic support. It means setting standards for integrity and resilience in startups, creating a healthy ecosystem where ideas thrive and collapse less painfully. You can also wield this role to foster innovation that truly serves society, not just a narrow slice that makes profits for a few. Mental health tech, clean energy, education, underserved markets, LPs as regulators can tilt the playing field toward investments that build a future worth living in. You might wonder, how do you start? Today, right now. Don't wait for permission or for others to lead. Begin by demanding detailed transparency from your current funds. Organize with other LPs privately to share experiences. Demand reports that don't just list numbers, but paint full pictures. Use your decisions on allocations as statements of values and standards. Don't be afraid to say no to funds that won't change. Even if they've done well before, the future belongs to those who prioritize ethical leadership and sustainability. Most importantly, reject the idea that limited partners must always be quiet, behind the scenes. Your role is critical. You have the power and responsibility to restore trust. To end the illusions venture capital has wrapped itself in. Your money and your voice together can untangle the mess, tearing down the facades and building up systems that work for all, founders, investors, and society. Imagine how much more powerful your capital becomes when it's tied to principles enforced by you, not borrowed from the rules of others. Imagine a venture world where every dollar you invest is a vote for clarity, fairness, and true progress. That world exists on the edge of your choice, waiting for you to reach out and shape it. So, to all limited partners watching this now, this isn't a call to comfort. It's a call to become fierce. It's a call to be more than passive financiers. It's a battle cry to rise up and become the regulation venture capital so desperately needs. The future isn't written by those who sit quietly. It's ruled by those who dare to challenge, to question, to shape. Your capital is your power. Your voice is your sword. Use them to create a venture industry that finally shows up for all of us. There is no better time than now, no better place than here, and no better people than you. Stand up, speak out, be the regulator, because if not you, then who?